What's good, team? Welcome back to a brand new video. And today I just thought that I would kind of explain to you guys my whole process, my risk management building, and just how I kind of scaled up my trading to be able to do this full time. So we'll start at the very beginning, right? In 2019, I started trading crypto futures on Binance with basically zero knowledge, right? I blew accounts. I was trading like Asia session. I remember my only rule was that I would trade at midnight and I had to make like $100 or something, right? At that point, I had like maybe $500 or $600 in the account. That's all I could scrape up. I was basically I come from I'm not gonna say like poor neighborhoods, but I definitely come from not the best neighborhood, let's just say. If you guys, I'm from Montreal North, in Quebec, so you guys can look it up if you want, Montreal North. And I kind of treated trading like gambling. I was kind of trying to make it out the mud. I was trying to make it out of the slums, and basically, I was kind of trying to all in every single time. Right? I didn't really have a stop loss, so it was just make $100 and call it until I have like a decent sized account where I could kind of live off of it. So I did that for a few, I want to say a few months, and then I blew that account. I blew a bunch of other accounts, right? And then I kind of decided maybe this is not it. Maybe this is not how I'm going to be doing this. I also had investments in crypto at that time, so I was working 4 jobs. I was a carpenter, I was a firefighter, I was a cook, and I was a bouncer at a club. So my schedule looked like this. I was carpentering all week, 9 to 5, and then Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, I was a bouncer at a club from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. And I was on call firefighter if I was free. And on Sundays from 8 to 8, I was a cook because my first job ever was as a cook in this kind of like restaurant ish. And it's actually my one of my best friends' uncle that owned the place, and that's kind of how I met him. And from there, we kind of built a relationship. I worked there for like probably 8 years or something. I'm 26 years old, by the way, if you guys didn't know. I know I look younger. So I worked there for like 8, 10 years or something. I worked there for a long time. And by the way, I still like sometimes if they call me up, I'll still go help them out. But the truth is that it feels so much better now because it's my choice. I can say no. I can say, it's just the freedom of it all. That's really cool. And sometimes they call me up and I'm like, sure, I'll come in and come hang out with my boys, kind of just cook up at the same time a little bit, and we have a good time doing it. And then I'm kind of getting off track here. So by around 2021, at this point, the bull market from 2020 was over. COVID kind of hit, and I discovered I took profits on my crypto investments, and I discovered ICT concepts and smart money trading at the exact same time, and that's kind of when everything changed, right? I learned discipline. Like obviously, I built my discipline and my risk management stuff over time, but I kind of started to get grasp the knowledge that you needed discipline to make it. It's also important to kind of know that I was a fat kid. I was like 250 pounds at 18, and right now, for example, I'm 185, but I went all the way down to 145. I'm 6'3", by the way. So yeah, now I kind of got into this bodybuilding phase at the exact same time. So I was working on my discipline at the gym. I was working on my discipline at the charts. I was still working all my jobs, by the way, at this point. So it's a few years of like multiple jobs, trying to build somewhat of a savings account or something to try to again make it out the slums. I was just focused on the grind, realistically speaking. And so I learned a discipline. I lowered my risk, and I kind of started building a little bit of consistency on demo. Obviously, again, while still working my 9 to 5. And by the end of around 2022, I want to say I quit my job. I quit all my jobs, and I went in as a full-time day trader, right? So I'm going to kind of break down the risk management involved through each phases, right? Which is like the reckless beginning of the 2019 crypto futures phase. And the only reason why I kind of stopped, and at the time I was really pissed, is because they banned Binance in Canada. I was trading on Binance. And I was like, what am I gonna do? I guess I'm gonna have to move to MetaTrader or something to find something else. So it kind of forced me to kind of dig into the whole day trading thing, and I've always been good at kind of weeding out the fake content and stuff like that. So I kind of knew where to look. I want to say I mostly watch ICT videos realistically, and I'm a very good at self learning. Especially I remember back when I was in school, I would listen in class. I wouldn't really do the homeworks, to be honest. I have really good grades, and I was just kind of teaching myself. And I've always been kind of a self teacher in that sense. So I was kind of learning. I even learned the crypto investment stuff by myself and shit like that, and I kind of just figured it out on my own, right? And at this point, it's also important to know that I was also kind of swing trading, I guess, meme coins, because it was really big at the time. And I remember I put $100 to a coin. I went to bed and I woke up the next day and I was at 5K. So I took that out. That was big for me because I just made 5K overnight, right? It's weeks of work for all my jobs altogether. So that was kind of like when I realized, oh shit, like there's ways to make money other than sacrificing my body and my health. And I was always sick at the time too because obviously my immune system had trouble handling all the hours I was doing. I was working basically like 60, 70, 80 hour weeks minimum. There was 40 hours construction, 10 hours of or 12 hours of cooking. So right there, that's 52. If I get called firefighter, we'll say that happen like once every 2 weeks for 8 hours. So we'll call it 4 hours a week. Goes up to 56. And then I had the 3 5 hour shifts from the bar, which is 15 hours. So we're from 56 all the way to 71. And that was like on average, say, right? Uh, so yeah, I quit my job and I decided to go full time in 2022. And that was honestly one of the scariest decisions I've ever made in my life, dude. Like, you don't understand because before I get started on this, when you have a job, you kind of have a steady paycheck, right? You know what you're expecting, you know your bills, you know you can cover them, or you know you can't cover them and you have to make up for it. In trading, you kind of have to figure out how you're going to pay your bills. You kind of have to figure out a strategy to be managed or to manage to compound your account at the same time as paying your bills if you need to and stuff like that. And back then I wasn't doing prop firms. So let's say right now, me, I have a swing account that I like to trade just for kind of not for fun, but it's a challenge I'm doing, right? For the $100 50K. I have my live account with over 6 figures in it where I just kind of compound it over time. I have my funded account where I take payouts, and this is kind of how I pay for my stuff. If I don't have enough, it never. I don't think it's happened yet that I haven't had enough from payouts to pay my bills. Obviously, it happens sometimes because, especially when I first started social media, I kind of dropped the funded account for a bit, and I was kind of living off savings. But I have my savings account. I have a retirement fund. You basically need money everywhere, right? If you're gonna start as a day trader, and I also have evals that I'm always trading, right? Um, but back then, all I had was my live account. So um, it's important to also say, by the way, guys, this is just a quick lesson here. If you do have a live account, let's say like me, I have a 6 figure account, but I don't have all 6 figures in the account. I have 90% of it sitting somewhere and I have 10% in the account for active trading capital, just in case something happens to the account. It's still trading capital. It's just not in the account. I don't know if that makes sense. If the company goes under, I have a whole video on that. If the company goes under, if Russia decides to ban NQ, you never know what can happen. Trump bombs us like in Canada. You never know, right? So it's always safer to kind of keep some capital on the side. To kind of always the point of trading is always to live to see another day and enjoy life in the meantime, right? So back then, again, 2019, I was trading Binance futures, basically not doing anything really good there. And then when I kind of started learning about it and I kind of started getting really into it, I was risking like maybe 0.25, 5% per trade. And back then it was a lot easier to trade, by the way. I don't know why. I don't know. I can't explain why. I have no idea why. It's probably macroeconomics and, political reasons and stuff like that. And also just yeah, just basically the happening around the world is kind of changing how the market is behaving. The market's ever changing. You need to adapt with it, right? That's the thing I've been saying. But back then it was a lot easier. So by 2021, again, I discovered ICT and SMC. I kind of realized the market wasn't random. There were patterns, structures, liquidity pools, some actual logic behind the chart, right? So I started to build my discipline. I was risking what I told you guys before. I was working my 9 to 5 still at this point, and my main focus was consistency, slow compounding growth if at all possible, but mainly consistency, like tracking my R multiples, journal setups, backtest ICT concepts, prove to myself that I could follow a plan and not really rely so much on the dollar amount that's on the screen. Right back then, I used to trade with ticks. You guys know you can do that on TradingView. So I would just look at the ticks, and I knew where my take profit was. I knew where my stop loss was, and I was kind of just going off that. I didn't even know how much I had in my account at some points. And so by the end of 2022, I had built a decent level of consistency. I wasn't perfect, right? No trader is perfect, but I had enough proof that my process worked, and I had enough money on the side. I had by that point, I had my retirement plan or my retirement fund with around 10K in it, which isn't a lot for retirement. I'll give you that, but it's still there in case, right? I have my savings with around 20K in them, which is basically TFSA and stuff like that. I had my crypto account that was doing great. And I had my trading capital that was doing great as well. And I was starting to look into real estate a little bit. Now, right now, obviously, I have some real estate now. Back then, I didn't have it, so I'm not gonna start bullshitting and be like, "Oh yeah, so I bought this, fiveplex." No, you don't need that. So I quit my 9 to 5 once I had all these safety nets, just in case again something happens, right? But I only had my live account. So how was I paying for my bills? Well, I kind of did the math on everything I had to pay, and with my account balance the way it was, and my risk and my average R return per month. Now that's not something you can do after 2 3 months. It was 1 year and something of data, right? I knew that I was making enough to pay for my bills and very slowly compound my account. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I do remember that it was around like a 1% increase per month on the account, which is still fine if you're managing to pay your bills with it, right? You're still compounding. And yeah, so basically, and then crypto hit again, and I invested in crypto and I made money off crypto again, and then that kind of really helped me because I could put some of that into the trading account and stuff like that. And then I didn't really need to like risk it, or not risk as much, but yeah, I guess risk as much percentage wise, pay my bills, and I was still compounding more. So it was a very long process, and yeah, I wouldn't recommend quitting your job unless you have a few safety nets. And also, until I wouldn't recommend quitting your job where I was at. I realistically, I wanted to go full time. I wanted to invest myself in this, but I should not have quit my job when I did. The reason being is that the compounding was really slow, and a bad month or a bad year, and because bad years can happen, and it kind of would have really hurt my whole trading capital, I want to say, and I would have had to use my safety nets, and that's just not good. So I recommend really being safe, especially with prop firms these days. You can really be safe, right? You could do like me, have a live account that you only take the A plus setups on them, and you kind of compound it over time. You never use this capital. Yeah, you could have a funded account that you can take the capital from that, pay your bills with that. You can have evals where you kind of just, you can forward test on them. You can stuff. You can always kind of, you know, get more fundeds to kind of get more or get more evals to get more fundeds to get more payouts. Once you prove to yourself you're consistent, there's really a multitude of possibilities. You can have like me, like I have a swing account as well, right? I can always, swing for a whole week on a trade and then, take some profits. um, I think it's really important for people to understand that you need to not rush this process. It's gonna take time and it's gonna suck and you're gonna hate it and it's fine. It's all part of the deal. It's like doctors in medical school, right? There's points where they have exams and they hate their lives. They know what they want to do, so they gotta go through it, right? So you gotta go through the gauntlet, right? So my recommendation, depending on where you're at, if you're just a beginner, okay, trade demo, show some consistency, get evals, and start trying to work towards a funded. Once you get a funded, work towards getting a buffer, work toward keeping that funded for as long as possible. Once you're eligible for a decent sized payout, and while keeping a buffer, take that, invest into more funded accounts or more evals, and pass those. And once you have a few of those, then you can start taking some profits here and there, putting them into a live account, or if you have a job, right, you can always put some savings to a live account as well. Don't use all your capitals. Have a savings, have a retirement plan, have anything you want. I would recommend having at least a few thousands, upwards of even 10, 20, 15K or 20, 30K in savings. So that kind of dispersed around to kind of make sure that you're okay. And if you're around the profitable stage where you have funded, it's kind of the same thing, just without the beginning part, right? Just make sure you can keep the funded, build a buffer, get payouts, invest in more, and that's kind of like the prop firms is really a new wave that's kind of happening right now, and there's no better time to trade than right now because of these. They are a business. They are trying to make money off of you. Just don't let them. Don't give into their game. Don't overtrade. Don't revenge trade. Don't over leverage. Don't do any of these stupid decisions that they're kind of counting on you to do it. Their whole money. If they say they were playing poker and all their chips are on you failing. So do you want to prove them right or do you want to prove them wrong? Okay. I don't know why, but I've always been good with discipline. Obviously, at the beginning, I wasn't, right, because I didn't have the knowledge. But once you get the knowledge, you just have to not give into their game, right? Their whole read every single rule on a prop from eval. This is actually, you know what? This is actually gonna be fucking homework for this video. Go to your favorite prop firm, read every single rule that's on the eval and on the funded, and think to yourself, why is that rule there? Let's say daily loss limit. Why is that rule there? Fucking write an essay about it if you want, right? Or send it to me. I don't care. I'll tell you. I know why every single rule is there. The daily loss limit, why is it there? Why are some prop firms having daily loss limit and some don't? Obviously, they have to kind of pick and choose which ones they want. If they have every single rule, you're not going to pick them. So they have to pick and choose. But listen to daily loss limit, right? Okay, your daily loss limit is $100, right? You're risking $400 per trade, and you go 2 trades a day. You lose these 2 trades. You're now down $800. Mentally, after you're done $800, you're gonna think your funded account's done. You might as well start another one. You're so close to the daily loss limit, you might as well full port and send it, and that's when you lose that extra 200. This is why the daily loss limit is there. The overall loss is just there to stop you in your tracks, right? The end of day, not the end of day, the intraday trailing drawdown is there to have you be in profit, come back down, take your profits at break even, and stop you on the next trade, because that's what intraday is, right? You go up $1,000 in the trade, you go back down to break even, your intraday drawdown is still up 1,000. But now if you lose 1,000, you're done, right? So you could go on the prop firm, read every single rule that they have, and come up with why is that rule there? What do they stand to gain from this? That's a business. They want to make money off of you. They want to take your money, your hard-earned money, I might add, and they want to use it, right? And they want to be able to live their lives off of your money. Now the question is, why do you deserve to take money from them and from the market? Right? Well, when you're trading profit, you're taking it from them. So why are you smarter than them? Right? That's kind of what you got to prove to yourself, really, because this is the great thing about day trading. You have nothing to prove to anyone. Just prove it to yourself that you're smarter than them. These guys are not PhD people like the people you're trading against. These guys are not like they're smart people. Obviously, they're business people, but they're not that like they're not the Elon Musk of this world. And by that I mean like high IQ. They're not the fucking Albert Einstein of this world. They're just normal people, and you can do it. You just have to put your mind to it. So once, stop learning new strategies. Once you know your strategy, your strategy could literally be to press buy on market open, and you could be profitable off of that with a one-to-one risk to reward. Literally, go back to it. Just press buy on the market open. I'm not saying do that. I'm saying your strategy could be as simple as that, right? The rest is all edge, risk management, or how are you going to react to the rules they have? How are you going to beat them? I forgot what I was going to say, but I will add something. Why do you guys think properties like Apex can run accounts for like $20, $30 when they're on sale? And why are they always on sale? That's because the human brain is all wired the same way, right? So when you look at sales, you think, oh, Apex is the cheapest. Apex can have more account. There's the bigger discount. I'm gonna buy Apex, but Apex rules are harder. So maybe you're better off putting in a little bit more money and getting like an MFF account. But even the MFF account has its disadvantages. You need to figure out your risk management. You need to figure out your discipline. You need to figure out who you are as a person, and you need to align your trading with that. And I kind of went on a rant here. I kind of went past the point of this video, but basically, I think I went over all the points I needed to go over. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Sorry again for this little rant. I love you guys. Please consider subscribing if you guys want to see more content. Join the free Discord. The link's in the bio. And other than that, guys, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.